mean, the main traits these days is that long game wise, everyone's just so much better. They're just like, from a technical point of view, there's no bad drivers on the tour. You can't be a bad driver and keep your tour card. I would say that's probably that's the main difference between like a lower tour player and a main tour player. If you really had to dumb it or had to give something, you would say the main tour players are better with the driver. Mm-hmm. They're better off the tee. They hit driver more often, and they're better and they're more accurate with it. I would say that's the main. I say that's the main part, and then the next part is, and then the next part is just like they've got their shit together. Like they're just like, you see a lot of youngish sort of players who are good players, but they may be out of touch with how good they've got to be.
Yep.
And there's a small piece of, not in the you've got to have confidence, but you want your confidence to be in the fact of like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm confident I'm going to get there.
Yep.
I'm willing to suck it up and do what I need to do to get there. Whereas some players, you'll see like, there's like a bravado confidence, which is basically made up of BS. It's like, if I act like I'm a tour player, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work. That just doesn't work. And the players that we were chatting about it earlier with Kit Alexander, who does a lot of Europro stuff, and we were talking about it, and like, you know what? It's just so impressive when someone at the Europro level wins a tournament or does well, or gets some money in from sponsors or from wherever, and reinvests properly in themselves. And a lot of the time, that might be to go and, you know what, go and get a caddy. And it makes no sense, because it might mean they're staying at a loss for the year.
Yep.
But at this level, they're going to invest in the caddy because that's what's going to make them better, rather than win a tournament and then take your missus to Ibiza. Instead, they want to win a tournament and they don't change the way they live at all, and they go, I'm going to get a caddy now.
Yep.
And that's going to take me on. And that's not an easy thing to do for a youngster. You know, I'm not as clued up as what it is in the women's game, because in the women's game, they seem to really respect having caddies and doing that side of it. And that's really different. But definitely with the lads, it's not quite the same. Like the few women that I've coached, they're happy to like, it's a complete generalization, but they kind of get it a bit more. They're happy to invest in themselves.
Yep.
And they see that. I don't know if it's an ego thing.
Well, I was just about to say, do you think it is the fact that they're just detaching from the ego, and then, like you said, just reinvest themselves back into,
which again is so difficult because like it or not, ego. It's a difficult conversation, because you need the ego to be good.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to, like, you want someone to have an ego, you know what I mean? But I guess their talent and their ability has got to match their ego. Because what the worst thing is when someone's like not that good, but they've got a huge ego. That doesn't work. Like that's a recipe for disaster. But when you've got something that's good, but then they've kind of got this ego that kind of matches it, doesn't go beyond it, then you see some good stuff. There's no perfect recipe other than the game. Everyone's so good now, right?
Yep.
I think you've got the players that are willing to reinvest in themselves early on normally have a better chance of making it than the ones that don't have that. Like the amount of I've come across players who they get given golf balls, because they're a good amateur, got given golf balls by a certain company, and then for whatever reason they play a development tour level for a year or two. For whatever reason, that company then says, we're not going to support your golf balls next year, so you've got to buy them. And then they'll go, oh, it's okay, because I've spoken to this other company, they're going to give me golf balls. And I'm just like there, like pulling my hair out, like, what? Like, see that 700 quid, go and buy yourself the golf ball that you've always been using, because you know that. You're just using a new golf ball that you never tried before because someone's giving it to you. Yeah. Like, it's just like, it's mind-blowing. Like there's some golfers that come along, right, they've missed like 3 cuts, they've missed 3 cuts on let's say on the Europro or something like and Europro costs you like 700 quid a week to go and play on, to be conservative, right? And then like, well, we need to put some work in. Kind of, listen, I can't afford it. You know, it's expensive, isn't it? So, right, it's 100 quid, right? take the week off, come have a lesson, go and get better, and then go back and be ready for the next 2 or 3 random events.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe. Like, I'm thinking, okay, what you could do, you can go and spend another 700 quid, miss another cut. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
But that mentality of like, they'll chuck it at that because of status, and it's like, I was going to be on television and I can tell people, I was supposed to, like, forget all that. Like, if you're not good enough, that's cool. Just go and work out how to be good enough.
Yeah.
Go and do it in the background. But I guess, I don't know, we're in this, you know, everyone's got to keep up with appearances. And, you know what, sometimes the best thing you can do is like, you know what, I'm nowhere near this. I'm nowhere near it. But just got to go and work out how to do my thing and go and be good, sort of thing, you know. And I never had an issue with that. I never had an issue with like paying money for coaching and going and getting like, going meeting certain people or spending on that sort of stuff. I'm still, that's going to pay me back. And it did. I went to day pelt school, spent like 700 quid to go and do like a half day or a day over in Ireland, floated through the islands, paid the guy 700 quid, it was him and I.
Yep.
Do that. I didn't have loads of money or whatever. But then 3 weeks later, had a wedge shot in a playoff in a MENA tour event, and put it to 2 feet and tapped in and won the tournament. It paid me back. Luckily, it paid back. But you know, so many people wouldn't go and spend $1 grand on getting a short game lesson. I thought that was what you had to do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's frustrating a lot of the time, if I'm really honest with you. Really frustrating.
I can hear it in your voice as well. It's great. I love it. It's perfect. Next question is, we're cautious of time as well. So when you were learning the game, what was the best bit of advice you were given and that you still stick by today? And then we'll get into some quick fire questions.
The best bit of advice. I've had loads of really amazing pieces of advice. You know, the best piece of advice that I've ever had and I would ever give to anybody, just go and find people that are better than you and go and play with them. Like, don't be scared. Like, that was, my dad always pushed me. Like, there was a bunch of scratch golfers at our golf club, county golfers, when I was a kid, and he always say, and they'll be going out and they'll go and play the top 8 at our course, which was the way it was worked. And, you know, I was shy. And I'd go and ask them for a game, and I'd hate it. And I'll go over there. And in golf, everyone's quite lucky. Like, everyone's quite, you say, can I join you? They'd always say yes. I don't know if I was lucky, but I think people quite empathetic in golf, and that is literally the best thing you can do. Like, you know, I'd put playing with better players over coaching, equipment, anything, because you go and play with better players, you just learn and you just work out a way of not being the shittest in the group, basically, and one day you become better.